Andrew Cooper wakes up on the foyer floor of a luxurious mansion, drenched in someone else's blood. Beside him lies a lifeless body. Disoriented and panicked, he scrambles to clean up before making a run for it. As he darts outside, security lights flick on, startling him so badly that he stumbles into the pool. Submerged, he takes a moment to reflect on how exactly he ended up here. Rewind 4 months earlier. Coop is at a bar, drinking alone, newly single after a long-term marriage. He's approached by a much younger woman named Liv. Though Coop is cynical and openly negative about where his life is headed, Liv shrugs off his self-pity. She doesn't want to fix him. She just wants sex. She's 20 years younger, and she's blunt about what she wants. Fast forward to 3 months later. Coop wakes up in bed, alone. His life looks bleak, but we start to learn more about his backstory. Fresh out of college, Coop got a job at a prestigious firm, driven by dreams of wealth. He worked relentlessly, pulling himself out of debt thanks to his relationship with his then-wife Mel, which included plenty of sex, and eventually, they had 2 children. But with kids came bills, and with ambition came tunnel vision. Coop kept climbing the corporate ladder, wanting more success, more money, more stuff. He eventually made it, but the cost was steep. One day, he walked in to find Mel in bed with his longtime friend Nick. That betrayal ended everything. Now Coop lives in a sterile, upscale neighborhood full of beautiful houses and emotionally empty people. He's single, jaded, and convinced that love is out of the question. At least he still has his job, right? Wrong. Coop gets fired. That one-night stand with Liv? It's come back to haunt him. Apparently, a complaint has been filed against him for sleeping with a subordinate, even though it was consensual. The optics are bad. He's ordered to turn over his clients and walk away from his salary and position. His boss even took him out for squash and a swim right before delivering the news, which only adds insult to injury. Trying to salvage something, Coop picks up his son, Hunter, from school on a day that isn't his. They go out for ice cream. When he drops Hunter back at Mel's place, they argue lightly about the past. Then the demands come in. Hunter needs a new drum kit. Their daughter, Tori, needs money for a dermatology procedure. The bills keep stacking, and then things get worse. 17-year-old Tori's 20-year-old boyfriend Jake backs into Coop's car. To top it off, Jake introduces himself to Coop as Tori's boyfriend, prompting Coop to point out that it's statutory rape. Before leaving, Coop gets a dinner invite from Nick. Coop, bitter and done playing nice, snaps back that Nick is cooking dinner for him on a $5,000 grill he bought, in a house Coop is paying for, while Nick is screwing his wife. He'll pass. Coop's love life is a disaster too. He's been sleeping with his neighbor's wife, Samantha. She wants something more serious. Coop doesn't. After he admits that, she storms off, but this seems to be a pattern. She always comes back. Coop is trying and failing to find a new job that pays well enough. He's got a 2-year non-solicit clause hanging over his head, making things harder. He vents to his friend and business manager Barney, floating the idea of not working for a year. Barney suggests suing Jack, the boss who fired him, since Coop won't make it 6 months on savings. Things hit another low at a neighborhood barbecue, hosted by the Millers. Coop drinks too much. Everyone's there. During a casual chat, a friend compliments Coop and Mel on their friendly divorce. Coop finally cracks, blurting out that Mel cheated on him and that he had no choice in the matter. After causing a bit of a scene, he excuses himself inside the Millers' house to use the bathroom. The place is mostly empty, aside from a few waiters. He snoops around. In the walk-in closet, Coop finds a drawer filled with watches and tightly rolled stacks of $100 bills. He pockets one roll. With that cash, he buys Hunter a brand new drum kit. When he drops it off at the house, he catches Jake completely naked and Tori in a state of undress. Furious, Coop punches Jake in the groin. He's also forced to pick up his sister, Allie, who's strumming fake plastic trees on a guitar in her ex's front lawn. She skipped her meds because she wanted to feel something. Allie, for all her struggles, is the one person Coop can really talk to. He confides in her about the spiral he's in. Later, Coop meets up with Liv and apologizes. He asks if she'd consider retracting the complaint. But she's confused. She never filed one. Coop confronts Jack. Turns out Jack orchestrated the entire thing. By setting Coop up with a fake complaint, he's managed to kick him out and seize control of his clients and capital account. Liv tries to confront Jack himself, but he brushes her off and offers her a shiny promotion instead. Defeated and broke, Coop returns to the scene of the crime, figuratively for now. He sneaks back into the Millers' house while they're on vacation. This time he grabs a luxury Patek Philippe watch, and more money. When the doorbell rings, Coop quickly pretends to be the homeowner to the police, who leave without incident. Victorious, he lounges in their home theater with a bottle of liquor and a cigar. Surrounded by unguarded wealth, Coop decides to keep robbing from the rich neighbors who never seem to notice. just until he gets back on his feet. But hey, what's the worst that could happen? Coop heads into a job interview, but it falls apart fast. He comes in confident and clearly unaware that he's applying for a much lower position than he's used to. Turns out, he'd be working under Max, a young, flashy upstart who's clearly being groomed for success, but not because of talent. Coop sizes up the situation quickly. Max is mediocre at best, and the job offer is just a way to pad the kid's resume and investment portfolio before inevitably cutting him loose. Coop isn't going to be anyone's stepping stone, so he walks out. Now that a legitimate job is off the table, Coop stares at the luxury watch he stole, the Patek Philippe, and decides it's time for drastic measures. He brings it to a pawn shop and gets an offer, $175K. He tries to push for $200K, and they settle at $185K. But there's a problem. The shop owner wants the original box and certificate of authenticity. The owner sends him to a different shop in the Bronx. At the Bronx pawn shop, Coop meets Lou. She leads him to the back room and offers $65,000. Coop, flustered, tries to counter with $95K, but Lou sees right through him. She knows the watch is stolen. Her guess is that Coop buys and sells high-end goods for fun. After dressing him down, he admits he's desperate. She sticks to her original offer, and Coop accepts the $65K. Meanwhile, Mel is at work at the wellness center, where she's a therapist specializing in young patients. One of her patients, a boy, talks about how he deals with rage by lashing out at objects. He recently keyed someone's car. Back in the neighborhood, it's clear that all the suburban wives have eyes on Nick, who still has his claws in Mel. Despite the interest he's getting, Mel isn't ready to commit. Maybe it's because Nick is a bit of a narcissist, running his own gym and rolling around town in a van with his bare ass on the side. Later, Mel heads to a bar for a glass of wine before Tori's tennis tournament. When Nick texts asking where she is, she lies that she's grocery shopping. On her way back to the car, she keys a random vehicle, just like her young patient. She's clearly suppressing a lot. Maybe it's regret. Maybe she knows she blew up her marriage for a man who was never worth it. But that guilt won't last long, not once she learns what Coop's been doing. Flush with pawn shop cash, Coop shows up at the country club for a pre-tournament tennis match with Tori. He's late, and by the time he arrives, she's already practicing, with Nick. Coop steps in and takes over, but not before reminding Nick that he slept with his wife. During the match, Tori, still angry that Coop punched her boyfriend Jake, nails her dad with a serve. There's a lot riding on Tori's performance: Princeton, scholarships, her future. At brunch after the practice session, Coop searches the club for Hunter and exchanges some polite but tense words with Jake. Then he spots Sam, who's rattled. Her ex-husband Paul has shown up with a young new girlfriend. Sam, emotionally raw from the encounter, lets Coop back in. Barney, who helped Coop get the interview, urges him to take the job despite the ego hit. Coop flat out refuses. Eventually, Coop finds Hunter, who's clearly high. Frustrated, Coop agrees to take him to retrieve his drum kit from home. On the way, they swing by to pick up Ali. Coop can't afford to keep paying her rent, so he takes her back to their parents' house to move in. The reception is icy. Upstairs, Coop sees that her bedroom is a mess. No effort was made to clean or make space. It's obvious the parents don't want her there, so Coop decides to bring her to live with him instead. She'll take over Hunter's room. That night, Coop heads to Sam's house for their hookup. We learn more about Sam's ex. Paul's grandfather bought a single diner in New York, and by the time Paul inherited the business had grown into 9 diners and several upscale restaurants. Now, because Paul cheated, Sam stands to get a huge piece of the empire in the divorce. To really stick it to their exes, Sam and Coop have sex in Nick's obnoxious SUV. Instead of sneaking off afterward like usual, Coop stays the night. The relationship is shifting from casual to something deeper. Later that night, Coop gets up for cookies and milk and runs into Sam's son, Henry. The kid asks to be tucked in and begs Coop to stay until he falls asleep. Coop does. As he watches Henry drift off, Coop reflects on how distant he feels from his own family. He's tucking in someone else's kid. The next morning, Coop chats with Ali about Sam. He's confused by how much his life has changed and how deep he's gotten into something he never intended. But instead of reflecting too long, he takes a darker turn, breaking into another neighbor's house. Jules and Brad are at the tournament. Their daughter is playing against Tori, so Coop seizes the opportunity. He sneaks into their home, rummages through drawers, and steals his Richard Mille watch. But he also uncovers a copy of the SAT's answer key. Jules and Brad clearly bought their daughter's way in. Coop snaps a picture of the evidence before leaving. He shows up late to Tori's tournament, but she's already made it to the finals. Mel's furious, but Coop is lucky. Tori wins, and she forgives him easily. Later, he returns to Lou's pawn shop with the new stolen watch. But this time, she's not interested. Right in the middle of their conversation, a customer pulls a knife on one of her clerks. Lou casually pulls out a gun and diffuses the situation like it's just another Tuesday. Coop watches in silence, realizing she's not someone to mess with. She places the gun on the desk and tells him flatly she's not buying the watch. Coop leaves. Lou watches him on her security feed. His trunk, still broken from the earlier incident with Jake, pops open again. He gets out to close it. Lou then makes a phone call. She gives the person on the other end Coop's license plate number and tells them she wants everything they can find on him. Coop visits Barney, who advises him to lawyer up. Barney warns Coop that his former firm will avoid a messy legal battle to protect their image, and they'll likely offer a settlement to avoid losing clients. Coop is skeptical, but Barney has already contacted Rick Maciello, one of the most formidable lawyers in the city. He'll most likely want to take the case for half of any settlement won. Better than nothing, Barney argues. As they drive to the meeting, Nick calls. Turns out, Barney also manages Nick's money. He's Barney's biggest client since Coop went broke. Coop isn't thrilled with how chummy the two are, especially since Barney previously claimed to be Team Coop. Barney shrugs it off. It's business. Nick invites them to a party at his house that night, but Coop declines, saying he's got the kids. Barney encourages him to stop sulking over the whole Nick and Mel situation and come have fun with the guys, but Coop holds firm. At the meeting with Maciello, the powerhouse lawyer doesn't sugarcoat things. Coop can't win in court. Still, he believes the company will want to avoid a PR nightmare and will probably settle out of court. The bad news? It'll take a year or two. Maciello needs a $200,000 retainer to get started. That means Coop needs to raise more money. Fast. Meanwhile, Mel discovers her closet has a bug infestation. A professional inspection reveals the bugs have spread inside the walls and could destroy the structure if not stopped. Fixing it will cost at least $10 minus $15K. Back at Coop's house, Lou shows up uninvited. Last we saw her, she refused to move his stolen watch, suspicious that Coop might be a cop. Now, having done her homework, she knows he's a broke hedge fund guy, robbing his neighbors. She agrees to do business again, but makes it clear, if he rats her out, she knows where his family and friends live. She also has money for him. That's enough to keep Coop in line. For now, Coop then calls Liv and urges her to do the right thing. With Rick Maciello now involved, her name could hit the headlines. She promptly hangs up on him. Coop's kids arrive, but everyone has plans. Even Ali has a gig. Alone and bored, Coop calls Sam, but she's off to a self-defense class. It just so happens that all the men are at Nick's party, and the women are at the self-defense session. With the coast clear, Coop comes out to play, breaking into the Resnick house. Kat Resnick is one of Manhattan's top criminal defense attorneys. Unfortunately for Coop, she comes home with a new guy, her daughter's boyfriend no less. Coop hides in the wine cellar. To make the break-in worth his time, he pockets an expensive bottle of wine before slipping out and heading to Nick's party after Barney drunkenly insists he come. At Nick's, Coop gives him the wine and gives Barney a chunk of cash from Lou, as he's also having some financial troubles. As Nick shows off his extravagant home, including a championship ring he proudly displays but won't let anyone touch, Coop simmers with quiet resentment over the affair with Mel. Coop's son Hunter takes mushrooms at a party where his band is supposed to perform. When the trip turns sour mid-set, he flees and calls Ali. She finds him curled up in a tub. He confesses he feels invisible, and during the performance, he finally felt seen, until he blew it. Ali comforts him. The next day, the kids at school treat him more kindly. Back at Nick's, chaos brews. Kat's husband is clueless about her affair, while Sam's ex, Paul, talks trash about her. Coop doesn't take it lightly. A fight breaks out between the two. To distract everyone, Rick leads the men to his basketball court and offers money to anyone who can score on him. One guest, who played some pro ball, breaks his leg during the friendly match. At the women's self-defense class, things devolve into a heartfelt session fueled by pot brownies. Sam and Mel share confessions. Mel reveals that the distance between her and Coop is what led her to cheat. Sam listens, relating to the same emotional strain she's currently under. Meanwhile, Brad Sperling finally realizes his Richard Mille is missing. He calls the police. The detective suspects he just misplaced it, since nothing else is missing, and she doesn't take the report too seriously. Later, Mel tells Coop she's hiring a professional tennis coach for Tori. He doesn't like the idea but eventually backs off, realizing it's what's best for their daughter. Still, it's another expensive bill looming over him. As the night winds down and guests leave Nick's house, Coop sneaks back in. Using a YouTube tutorial, he cracks the code on the trophy case's electronic lock. He reaches for Nick's championship ring, just as he hears a gun cock behind him. We shift focus to Elena, the housekeeper working in Nick's house. Her work consumes much of her life. Each day begins early, and she spends long hours scrubbing and cleaning Rick's house from top to bottom. After finally finishing her tasks one day, she draws a bath in the main bathroom, but her relaxation is cut short by a strange noise. Investigating, Elena discovers Coop in the house, trying to steal Nick's ring. Elena warns him, stealing that ring would have serious consequences. Nick would scorch the earth to get it back. But instead of calling the police or alerting anyone, Elena proposes a partnership. She wants in. Coop is reluctant, but deep down, he's relieved to have someone watching his back. And soon enough, their jobs become sharper, more precise. Barney checks in with Coop. He's uneasy about the mysterious brown bag full of cash, and Coop's continued lack of employment. Coop brushes it off, but Barney reminds him the lawsuit will take time. He needs to get to work. Also present is Brad Sterling, who mentions firing his maid over the missing watch and filing a police report. Fortunately, the police don't seem interested, so Coop is in the clear. For now. Barney also tries discussing finances with his wife, suggesting they cut back, but she shuts him down by seducing him. Blunt and unsubtle, but effective. Back in Coop's world, a major red flag emerges. Rick, that he hoped would take on his wrongful termination case, is seen cozying up to Coop's former employers. That evening, Liv shows up at Coop's door to warn him. Initially, he shrugs it off, but her warning, that he never signed a contract or paid a retainer, starts to resonate. Liv has been promoted to a higher floor, clearly bribed for her silence. Still, she cares enough to warn Coop. As she leaves, she kisses him gently on the cheek. Mel is blindsided when she learns Nick is throwing her a huge birthday party, something she specifically did not want. Nick is going all out with preparations. The event planner, Jane, awkwardly asks if Mel and Nick are married. They're not. The whole situation makes Mel deeply uncomfortable. Later that night, Elena calls Coop. It's time to get serious. She tells him that housekeepers have their own underground network. They know everything about their employers, what's valuable, where it's hidden, and what can disappear without raising alarms. She and Coop begin orchestrating a string of burglaries based on these intel. Their early jobs are clean and efficient. Then Elena wants to bring in her cousin Hector, who works in home security and can get alarm codes for $5,000 a code. Coop is unsure about the cost, but Elena insists it's worth the investment. Later, she opens up to Coop. She's been trying to bring her parents to the US, and the immigration process is expensive. She also has a brother named Chivo, who's constantly in legal trouble. Coop, no stranger to complicated family drama, relates. They share a drink and some mutual understanding. Using the first code Hector provides, they hit a new house. Everything is going smoothly, until Coop grabs an Hermes bag and a secondary alarm goes off. This one wasn't included in Hector's intel. Cops respond immediately. While fleeing, Coop is attacked by the homeowner's dog and is forced to abandon the bag. During the escape, he loses his earpiece, but it's too dangerous to go back. Though he evades capture, it's clear this isn't over. Ali attends a therapy session where we learn more about her history. On her wedding day, she had a psychotic episode and left her fiancé Bruce at the altar. She's just been offered a full-time art gig, but she doesn't want to celebrate. Celebrating, she says, has never led to anything good. Her therapist urges her to unpack that further. At Mel's party, her daughter Tori finds her upstairs crying. Tori helps cover up the puffy eyes with makeup. Though everyone is downstairs to celebrate her, Mel can't access any sense of joy. She's overwhelmed by regret. At the same time, Coop is getting his leg treated by Elena. She notices Sam has sent him nudes and teases him about it. Coop brushes it off. He later shows up at the party and finds Sam. She's cold. She saw Liv at Coop's place and that cheek kiss. Coop tells her there's nothing between them. But Sam isn't convinced. Things escalate when Coop runs into Tori. She's furious, accusing him of walking away from their family and never fighting for what they had. She doesn't like Nick, but she's also angry at Coop. She tells him he's been given passes his whole life. In the middle of the celebration, Nick makes a grand romantic gesture, pouring out his love for Mel in front of everyone. He urges her to respond. She can't. She runs. To break the awkward silence, Ali grabs her guitar and performs. Her music soothes the crowd. Outside, Coop finds Mel on the trampoline, their old escape when they were a family. He asks if she's okay and expresses regret for not asking sooner. Mel opens up. She says she's numb, disconnected from the present, even from her own children. She thought Coop was the reason for her anger, but even now, without him, the anger remains. She's spiraling. By the time they get off the trampoline, Mel is calmer, but still burdened. Later, alone, she sees the pile of expensive party gifts and turns to the brown bag Coop left for her. Inside are her favorite candies. She eats them, crying. It's a bittersweet moment. Coop, being kinder now than he was for 18 years, only complicates things. Coop, however, gets to his car and finds Sam there. Their situationship continues as his car trunk keeps opening. Mel is this close to getting back with Coop. Nick makes a flashy appearance on TV to promote his latest invention, a high-tech toilet with built-in speakers that can analyze urine. Mel watches from backstage as Nick works the crowd like a seasoned showman, selling it as a revolution in personal health and hygiene. After the presentation, Mel approaches Nick and apologizes for her dramatic exit from the party. They reconnect in private and, despite everything that's happened, end up having sex in the dressing room. You'd think after the disaster of the last robbery, where Coop got bit by a dog, he might call it quits. But no. Coop is sick of small jobs. He wants a big score. Something that'll buy him real time before he has to steal again. That's when he notices a Roy Lichtenstein painting hanging in a neighbor's house. He's sure it's real. More importantly, he knows the owner values authenticity over meaning. If Coop can swap it with a convincing fake, no one might notice for a while. He pitches the idea to Lou, who turns it down, at first. But once she learns it's worth $1 million, she's in, with one condition. She wants 20% and will introduce Coop to a contact who can move the piece. At home, Coop has another night with Samantha, but something's changed. She tells him she's done. She doesn't want a ride until the wheels come off. She cares about him, but knows he's not ready for anything serious. She gives him a guilt-free exit and says she's taking the kids to her parents' place. Coop doesn't say much. Instead, he ends the night on the couch watching movies with Ollie, avoiding the weight of it all. Barney is buried under his own mountain of problems. Renovating the house is costing far more than planned, over $200,000, and his wife Grace remains blissfully unaware, pushing for upgrades. Then her parents show up. Barney doesn't speak Korean, and the visit is deeply uncomfortable. Her mother offers him a $1 million check, and even suggests he come work for Grace's father. But Barney knows that kind of help comes with strings. After they leave, he gets drunk, burns the check, and accidentally sets the renovations on fire. Luckily, he manages to put the flames out. As Coop gears up for the heist, problems at home boil over. He and Mel are called into Hunter's school. Their son is facing expulsion for distributing Adderall to other students. Coop is blindsided. He's missed every parent meeting, unaware of how far Hunter has been slipping, failing classes, getting into trouble. Mel tries to fix it. She offers a donation to keep Hunter enrolled. But the school doesn't come cheap. They want $240,000. Now Coop has another reason to go through with the painting job. Lou introduces him to Christian, a quirky, unsettling art forger who agrees to make the fake Lichtenstein. Elena's cousin helps out too, supplying the alarm codes. The job goes off without a hitch. They swap the real painting with the fake and escape clean. Christian takes the painting to be authenticated, and the trio heads out to celebrate. Christian does drugs and offers some to Coop and Elena. They partake lightly. But as the night wears on, things get weird. Christian, strung out, asks Coop if he has feelings for Elena. Coop denies it. But it's clear Elena might feel something. They dance and share a moment. But Coop pulls away before it goes further. Later, Elena slips away to freshen up and is cornered by Christian, who tries to force himself on her. Coop walks in, sees it, and attacks him, but Christian is stronger. In the chaos, Elena pepper sprays both men, ending the fight. The deal is ruined. The money is gone. Christian walks away with the $1 million painting. Elena is livid. She tells Coop she was waiting to confront Christian after they got paid. His impulsive move blew it all up. Seriously, after everything they went through, Christian walks away with the money? They need to get that painting back. Hopefully Lou comes through. After the fight, Elena storms out. Coop, frustrated and broke, turns to his last resort, robbing Samantha's now empty house. He knows she's away, and that her back door is never locked. He slips in looking for valuables, but instead of loot, he slips on something and knocks himself out. When he wakes up, he realizes he's lying in a pool of blood, next to the dead body of Sam's ex, Paul. This brings us full circle to where the series begins. From here, we know the drill. After stumbling into the pool, for a moment, he seriously considers staying under, letting it all go. But his survival instinct kicks in. He resurfaces, heads home, and scrambles to erase every sign he was there. The next morning, he meets up with Barney. They each ask the other what they were up to the night before. Neither shares that they both nearly destroyed their lives. But now the question is, did Sam kill her ex and leave for her parents' house as an alibi? The next morning, the maid discovers Paul's lifeless body and immediately contacts the authorities. Detective Rebecca Lynn is assigned to the case and quickly spots evidence of a cover-up. The strong smell of ammonia suggests an attempt to sanitize the scene. 3 gunshot wounds make it clear this wasn't an accident, but a calculated execution. As Lynn digs deeper, she uncovers details about Paul's contentious divorce from Sam, a widely discussed scandal in town. She also learns of a recent altercation between Paul and Coop. These revelations put Sam in the spotlight, even though she appears to have an unshakable alibi, a flight to Boston taken that same morning, making her direct involvement seemingly impossible. Lynn still brings Sam in for questioning. Sam appears genuine, carrying traces of grief and discussing her complicated history with Paul. But things take a sharp turn when Lynn brings up Paul's $20 million life insurance policy. Sam is the sole beneficiary. A clear motive. When asked if she's seeing anyone, Sam lies. She doesn't mention Coop and is surprised to learn that he and Paul had a confrontation during Nick's party. To deflect suspicion, Sam points Detective Lynn toward Paul's investors as potential enemies. With her alibi airtight, the police can't move forward on her alone. Still, Lynn doesn't trust her. She plans to look into her gun, locked away in a safe, and apparently never fired. Next on her list is Coop. Lynn questions him, and he tries to downplay the situation, calling the fight with Paul just a harmless scuffle. His bruised knuckles are noticeable, and he lies about them, blaming a tennis accident. But Lynn finds his involvement too suspicious. His alibi? He claims he went to a club that night, returned home alone, and watched a movie with his sister before falling asleep. Lynn doesn't buy it, so she visits Nick, hoping for more clarity. Nick admits Coop has a temper, but argues that if Coop were going to punch someone, it'd be him, since he's the one who took his wife. He brushes off the Paul fight as nothing serious. Overhearing the conversation, Elena reaches out to Coop. But he's too distracted. Detective Lynn has spooked him. He immediately destroys any leftover evidence that might tie him to Paul's death. Sam later calls Coop. She asks if he was trying to defend her honor when he fought Paul. Coop laughs it off. Sam reveals she told the police she wasn't seeing anyone. She doesn't want to be iced out by Mel and the other neighborhood women. Coop's reaction makes her realize that he's more relieved about Mel not knowing than her own public image. Hurt, she cuts the call short. It's now the day of the family trip. Coop, Mel, and their kids are heading to Princeton to help Tori get a feel for the university. Things start off rocky when Coop and Tori argue over her boyfriend. Coop says they'll eventually break up in college. Tori snaps back, accusing him of projecting his own failures, reminding him that he left the family. Coop fires back, admitting it kills him that she holds him in such contempt. The mood lightens when they arrive at Princeton. Tori quickly blends in with a new crowd. Coop takes Hunter to the music department, where Hunter becomes immediately engaged. This leaves Mel and Coop alone together, revisiting their old college haunts. Nick had been worried earlier in the day that returning to Princeton with Coop might be emotional. It is where they first fell in love. She dismissed him then, but now, the atmosphere shifts. Coop seems more relaxed, more attentive, especially when he supports Mel during a minor incident where she's falsely accused of shoplifting. She sees a version of him she never experienced during their marriage. That night, Coop confesses. He tells Mel he lost his job because of a woman. His life is a mess, and he's sorry for letting everything fall apart. Mel also apologizes for how things ended between them. The conversation takes a romantic turn, and the two end up making love. Tori makes out with a guy and starts to realize her dad might be right about her current boyfriend. She'll probably end things soon. Hunter also connects with new peers and is thrilled when he gets a text back from a crush. Ellie has been hitting Nick's gym, hoping to get noticed by her ex, Bruce. Her plan works. Bruce attends one of her singing gigs. After the show, they reconnect, and it's clear Bruce's marriage is on shaky ground. A reunion between Ellie and Bruce seems like a real possibility. Back from Princeton, and riding high from the day, Coop is in a cheerful mood. The family has dinner with Barney and his clan. When it begins to rain, Coop steps outside to grab an umbrella from the car, but he's ambushed by two men and beaten mercilessly. Barney sees this and rushes out to help his friend but is hit by a car. The crash draws attention, and the attackers flee. As Coop recovers from the assault, he sees Christian driving by in his car, leaving no doubt about who sent the goons. Coop is back to stealing again. This time, it's diamonds. But something feels off. As he moves through the house, he begins seeing surreal images and feels like a complete stranger in what is supposedly his own home. But just as it starts to spiral, he wakes up. It was all a dream. Coop has actually been asleep for 12 hours, surrounded by his concerned family. In the other room, Barney is recovering. Detective Rebecca Lynn stops by to visit Coop, not to offer sympathy. The assault has only deepened her suspicion of him. Lynn lays it out. In a quiet neighborhood like Westmont, the common denominator in a growing string of violent incidents is Coop. She believes he's in over his head and offers him a chance to talk now, before things get worse. If he refuses, she warns, she won't hesitate to bring him down later. Coop says he'll think about it, but it's clear he has no intention of coming clean. Lynn receives confirmation that Samantha's gun hasn't been fired, though gunshot residue from another weapon was found at the crime scene. suggesting Paul might have shot at his killer while they were fleeing. Lynn doesn't believe Coop fits that exact profile, but she's convinced he's hiding something. Inside the kids' room at Sam's house, Lynn finds a nanny cam hidden in a teddy bear. Reviewing the footage, she sees Coop tucking Henry into bed. This prompts Lynn to talk to Sam again and urge her to amend her earlier statement. Afterward, Sam makes a mysterious phone call, not to Coop, which puts a bullseye squarely on his back. While Allie picks Coop up from the hospital, Mel meets Sam, who is juggling both Paul's death paperwork and the planning of his memorial. Sam's feelings are complicated. Paul was still her ex, after all. Elena's world starts falling apart. Her brother botched a drug drop, panicked when he heard sirens, and tossed $150,000 worth of product into the river. Now he's in debt, and if he doesn't pay, he's in serious danger. Elena is furious, both that he got involved with Felix and that he's so incapable of handling the fallout. Felix has given her a week to repay the money. While all of this is happening, Detective Hernandez is literally digging through Coop's trash to find a blood sample. He's stuck hiding behind the bins when Bruce picks Allie up from work, and they start kissing in the driveway, completely unaware of Hernandez just feet away. Eventually, Hernandez escapes with a blood sample from Coop's trash, and the sample is tested, revealing that it matches blood found at the crime scene. Coop later visits Barney in the hospital. But Barney is done playing games. He confronts Coop. He wants to know who attacked him. Coop insists he doesn't know. Barney, who put his own life on the line, is exhausted by Coop's lies. He brings up the brick of cash Coop handed over earlier and says if Coop won't be honest with him, then he needs to get out of his life. Now desperate, Elena goes to Hector. But Hector is spooked. Since Paul's death, clients are demanding new systems, and he never knew what she was doing with the codes. He suspects now that whatever Elena's up to, it's dangerous. He refuses to help her anymore, warning her that if she stays involved with Coop, she might end up just like Paul. While Coop attends Paul's wake, Lynn uses the blood match from the trash sample to secure a search warrant for Coop's house. Allie and Bruce are having sex when Lynn and the police arrive. When asked who Bruce is, he says he's just a friend, hurting Allie's feelings. They tear through the house but find nothing. Isn't Ali supposed to call Coop immediately? Lynn is this close to finding Coop's stash of robbery money, but one of her officers calls. They've found something in Coop's car, which is enough to arrest him. Ali finally gets around to warning Coop, giving him just enough time to seek out Kat Resnick, a powerful attorney. Coop tells her he's a suspect in Paul's murder. She declines to represent him, citing conflict of interest due to her friendship with Sam. But Coop doesn't back down. He threatens to expose her secret of sleeping with her daughter's boyfriend, which he saw in an earlier episode while robbing her house. Soon after, the cops show up, and Coop is arrested in front of all his friends and neighbors, who are shocked by this new development. Fortunately, Kat shows up at the station to defend Coop. She argues the warrant was served to someone mentally unstable, making the search invalid. Lynn counters by presenting the murder weapon found in Coop's trunk. Coop is shocked. Kat urges him to say nothing. His arrest sends a shockwave through the community as Mel breaks the news to their kids, while Elena stares at the screen in shock, and a heartbroken Allie tries to find comfort in Bruce, with whom she thought she had rekindled her relationship, and fails. Coop makes himself comfortable in the prison cell and goes to sleep now that the worst has happened, or so he thinks. But one question lingers. Who the hell used Coop's faulty trunk to frame him for murder? At the sauna, the women discuss Coop's arrest. Most of them find it hard to believe that Coop, who has never shown any violent tendencies, could have murdered someone. But the revelation about his affair with Sam forces them to reconsider their assumptions. Grace defends Coop, insisting he couldn't have killed Paul for Sam because he's still in love with Mel. Another wife, however, floats the idea that maybe Coop is a psychopath. After spending a night in jail, Coop receives a $250,000 bail. The judge sets a 1-month discovery period before the trial begins. Kat is confident that they'll be able to work out a deal, but Coop refuses. He's adamant about his innocence and has no interest in making a deal. The case isn't easy, especially with the murder weapon having been planted in Coop's trunk. But Kat has never lost a case, and she doesn't intend to start now. When Coop leaves the station, his father is waiting for him. He's the one who posted bail, even though it strained him financially. Coop then heads to see Mel, but she refuses to let him see the kids. She tells him that he's brought enough chaos into their lives already, and she won't allow things to get worse. Coop returns home, where his sister informs him that the cops searched the basement. He rushes downstairs to check his stash, only to find it gone. Since the police haven't confronted him about the missing money, Coop concludes that someone else, someone who knew about his secret life, must have taken it. He immediately suspects Lou and heads to her shop. There, Lou explains that she only gave Christian Coop's location to prevent the man from killing him. She swears she didn't take the money, and, after the mess he has landed himself in, she wants nothing more to do with him. Mel and Nick go to the coffee shop. Everyone stares at them, but what really sets Mel off is seeing Sam there. Sam tries to be civil and even apologizes for not telling Mel about the affair with Coop, saying she was too afraid. Mel doesn't care. When Sam defends herself by pointing out that Coop is the only suspect in her husband's murder and that Coop was in a dark place, which she knows because they are closer than Mel thinks, Mel lets it slip, right in front of Nick, that she slept with Coop too. Mel calls Sam a gold digger, accusing her of exploiting her husband's death for sympathy, even though she hated him. Sam slaps Mel, and Mel punches her back. Nick steps in and drags Sam away, but before he leaves, he tells her, "Fuck you," then drives off, leaving her stranded. To make matters worse, the video is recorded, and soon, it is on every single phone. At school, Tori and Hunter find out about the fight from other students. The attention only heightens the pressure on them. Hunter is comforted by his crush, and they end up sharing a kiss. Tori, trying to find solace in her boyfriend, is further disappointed when he speculates that Coop might be capable of murder because of his past violent behavior. That's the last straw. She punches him in the same spot her father once did, effectively ending their relationship. Elena gets a bag filled with cash, most likely Coop's stolen stash, and uses it to repay her brother's debt. She tells him that he won't be doing another drop again. She's determined to keep him out of trouble, though it's unclear how successful she'll be. Back at Coop's place, Nick shows up and punches him in the face. But then, surprisingly, he apologizes. They sit together, watching a movie, until Barney arrives. He's also ready to hit Coop, but instead, the three head out for drinks. As they drink and snort cocaine, they end up wasted on the golf course. Coop and Barney have a heart-to-heart. Coop reassures Barney that he didn't kill Paul. Barney, in turn, opens up about his own issues. He reflects on his life and all the material things he's accumulated, questioning what it's all for in a surprisingly emotional moment. Coop almost confesses to the house robberies, but Barney falls asleep, leaving the conversation unfinished. The next morning, they're woken by golf course sprinklers. Barney returns home, only to have his wife confront him about the money he hid in his sweater drawer. When he admits that it came from Coop, she tells him to be careful and to prioritize his family. The viral video has real consequences for Mel. She loses her job over the altercation with Sam. Later, Coop comes home and finds Hunter asleep on the couch. Hunter asks if Coop is going to prison. Coop assures him that he's innocent and promises he'll prove it. Hunter, in turn, shares the news that he now has a girlfriend. Allie tries to rekindle things with Bruce, but he coldly tells her never to show up at his house again. Despite the joy of hearing about his son's budding romance, Coop's good mood is short-lived. Kat informs him that the best offer on the table is a plea deal, which would have him out of prison by the time Hunter graduates college. Coop refuses. He's still determined to fight. Kat reminds him of the damning evidence, his DNA at the scene, the murder weapon in his trunk. She tells him that no jury will believe he's innocent. She pleads with him to be honest and tell her what he was doing at Sam's house the night of the murder. Coop deflects, saying it's complicated. When Coop gets back home, Mel is waiting. She tells him about losing her job and directly asks if he had anything to do with Paul's murder. Their interaction softens. As they sit with each other, she reflects on how chaotic their lives have become. Coop can't help but reflect too. He thinks about the mess he's made and wonders, how did he not see it coming? Season finale of Your Friends and Neighbors opens with a haunting dream sequence. Coop finds himself back in his old home, no longer separated from his family. It's serene, until he dives into the swimming pool. When he resurfaces, he's not in his backyard anymore. He's at a crime scene, Samantha's house, and the police are arresting him for allegedly killing Paul. He wakes up and heads out to golf, hoping to clear his mind. But the stares he gets say it all. People now look at him like a murderer. Luddy, the golf club manager, approaches and tells him his membership is about to be suspended until he's officially acquitted. Coop points out that this move violates the club's own policies and hints darkly that pushing an accused murderer might be a bad idea. That night, he tries to calm himself with a quiet dinner alongside Allie, Hunter, and Tori. But Allie immediately brings up her fling with Bruce in an effort to break the ice. It's so awkward, even talking about Coop's possible prison sentence feels easier. Coop, though, refuses to talk about the case. Allie decides to leave for her music gig, and Hunter and Tori choose to tag along. Coop is left with no choice but to join them. At the venue, Allie starts off with a solid song, but it soon spirals into a chaotic rant about Bruce, and a tribute to Coop for always being there for her. The night ends with Coop urging Allie to take her medication, so she can be responsible enough to care for Hunter and Tori if he goes to jail. He then gives his prized Daytona watch to Hunter. When he tries to talk to Tori, she's cold at first, but as they watch a movie, she eventually cuddles up to him and cries, likely mourning the looming possibility that her dad could be gone for 6 to 10 years. The next day, Coop meets with Kat. He asks her to set up a meeting about a plea deal. He's accepted that it might be impossible to clear his name. The scene shifts to Mel, who's having lunch with Barney. Barney reveals that Coop has signed over his half of the house to her. Mel is stunned. She realizes Coop must truly believe he's going to prison. She begins to worry about the kid's future. Barney reassures her. Coop made sure she has everything she needs to support herself and the children. As they talk, Mel notices other diners whispering and snickering, likely gossiping about her public altercation with Samantha. In response, Mel lunges toward them, scaring them senseless. On her way out, she crosses paths with Samantha. The two former friends walk past each other without exchanging a word. The next day, Mel catches Hunter and Morgan talking at her house. When she tells Morgan to stay for dinner, Morgan declines and prepares to leave. That's when Mel notices the Daytona watch on Hunter's wrist. It confirms her fear. Coop has given up. Mel confronts him immediately and tells him that giving up is exactly what ruined their family the first time. He was supposed to fight, and he didn't. And now he's doing it again. Mel's words hit home. Coop tells Kat he's no longer going for the plea deal. He wants to fight. They go over the case again. Coop's being framed as a jealous ex who killed Paul for Samantha. Meanwhile, Samantha seems to be escaping scrutiny. Coop spots something odd. Samantha's call records don't include any calls to or from him. The police had accepted the records from a phone that placed her in Boston at the time of Paul's death. But there's a second phone, the one she used to text Coop, including on the night he found Paul's body, and that phone has disappeared. Coop and Kat take this finding to Detective Lynn and Officer Hernandez. The officers are defensive and uninterested. Kat privately tells Coop that the missing phone is probably long gone. Samantha likely discarded it to protect herself. But this time, Coop won't give up. He approaches Elena, who admits to stealing Coop's money to pay off Felix. Despite her hesitation to be linked to a murder suspect, she agrees to help Coop with one last heist, breaking into Samantha's house to find the phone. The next day, Elena goes to work at Samantha's place. Since no one else wants to clean a house where someone died so violently, she has the place to herself once Samantha leaves. Elena lets Coop in, and they tear the place apart. They don't find the phone, but they do find something else, a suicide letter written by Paul. Elena leaves. Coop stays back and confronts Samantha. Cornered, Samantha finally tells the truth. Paul had called her that night, still trying to win her back. He was on FaceTime with her when he shot himself. In a panic, she realized that a suicide ruling meant no life insurance payout, something she desperately needed because Paul had mismanaged their finances. So she flew home in the middle of the night, fired 2 extra bullets into Paul's already dead body, and staged the scene to look like a murder. She never intended for Coop to be blamed, but when he was, she planted the gun and let things play out. Her children's future meant more than justice. Coop decides to take the suicide letter to the police. Samantha threatens to shoot him, but he calls her bluff. He hands the letter over to Lynn and Hernandez, and Samantha is arrested. The charges against Coop are dropped. 1 week later, Coop gets invited back to work by Russell and Bailey. With the murder charge behind him and the company in trouble, they want him back. Coop negotiates a deal and agrees to go to Switzerland that very night for his first assignment. But first, he attends the Gutenberg Cancer Gala, hosted by Peter and Diane Miller. Barney is surprised to hear that Coop hasn't fully accepted Russell and Bailey's offer yet. Coop talks to Tori, who's worried that Chelsea Sperling might qualify for Princeton's sports quota instead of her. Coop handles it in his own shady way. He confronts Julie Sperling and threatens to expose that she bought SAT answers for Chelsea unless she sends her daughter elsewhere. Nick ends things with Mel. He admits he should have known. Mel still loves Coop. She denies it, but the feelings are mutual. Hunter and Morgan sneak away to presumably do something forbidden. Ollie leaves early to vandalize Bruce's house, signaling to his wife that he's up to no good. Though Samantha isn't in jail, she didn't technically kill anyone and never filed for the insurance money. Coop isn't bitter. He understands her motivations. Mel is stunned by how easily Coop forgives Samantha when it took him so long to forgive her. Coop says it wasn't easy with Mel because he's in love with her, not Samantha. As the gala winds down, Coop is expected to board a flight to Switzerland with Bailey and Olivia. But instead, he breaks into Bailey's house to steal an expensive painting. One last con before his next chapter begins. And that's it for Your Friends and Neighbors Season 1. What did you think of the show? Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in Season 2.